Hello and welcome to the final round of the PowerMax Mini Challenge 2015 from a very foggy Snetterton, hence why I'm standing on the track and it's eerily quiet. While we wait for conditions to improve, let's have a look at the drivers in action in yesterday's racing.
In the Coopers, neither Ricky Page nor Mark Wakefield were able to make any progress on the championship lead held by Nathan Harrison, giving him a massive margin going into race 2. A DNF for Hamish Brandon and a class win for Neil Newstead was enough to give Neil the JCW Class Championship in race 1. David Grady led the F56 standings, but a collision with William Phillips put him down to 20th. And another victory for Charlie Butler Henderson puts Charlie just 2 points in the lead. So let's have a look then at the results. And Butler Henderson claiming the F56 victory from Luke Caudle and Lawrence Davey. And in the JCW's victory for Neil Newstead, giving him the championship.
So, while Charlie Butler Henderson couldn't have asked for a better race, things were not so good for David Grady, who's joining me now. David, that was pretty disastrous for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, not really the start I wanted to the weekend. I have to say it was completely my own fault, really. I went for a move on the inside of William Phillips going into Murray's, and got a bit out of shape and ended up on the soggy wet grass. And when I got onto that sort of grass there, it was I was just a passenger, really.
There's only a few points now because of that separating you. You still are in the lead. What are your plans? What's the strategy for this next race?
I think I've just got to throw caution to the wind to some extent, but it's looking pretty treacherous out there at the moment, so I'm going to have to sort of exercise a little bit of caution. But yeah, I've got to go for it because Charlie's on pole.
Fantastic race for you yesterday. How has that affected the points?
The points are still up for grabs. I still need to finish both races and sort of match Grady, and also I need to think about Davey as well. So Bill Solis, our sort of team guru, as it were, has worked it out that we're 2 points in the lead at the moment with dropping a race, as it were, yeah. So nerve-wracking stuff. There's one session to go out before us, but the circuit's going to be a little bit fresh, bit green, I would have thought, a bit slippery, but I just need to stay on, stay out of trouble, hopefully get a podium, if not, get some good points.
Neil, is it safe to say that I'm talking to a championship winner?
Yeah, no, yes, it is. I've just been told it has been declared. There was every opportunity for Hamish still to try and push it out till race 2. However, I see Hamish had a bit of an off, outbraked himself, and then I just needed to pull out. And I wasn't aware that he actually had a DNF, but once I got told he had DNF, I knew I'd won the championship. So yeah, very happy.
After a severe weather-related delay, we are ready to go racing. As you can see, conditions remain tricky. Now, Neil Newstead in the JCWs might be out for a bit of a fun ride, but this is going to be a crucial race in the F56s for David Grady and Charlie Butler Henderson. He's on pole. Let's get the full grid from Ben.
Thanks, Michelle. As ever, a gigantic field for the season finale of the PowerMax Mini Challenge in the F56 and JCW classes. So lining up in pole position is Charlie Butler Henderson, then Luke Caudle alongside him on the front row from Lee Patterson and Jack Mitchell. Lawrence Davey and William Phillips, a very competitive row 3. Amongst the JCWs then, Neil Newstead to the 4, just ahead of Steve Ruxton Cocker. Hamish Brandon and Kevin O'Connor, plenty to do after their race 1 misfortunes. Red lights are on, out they go, and it's a good start from Caudle and Butler Henderson. They both anticipate the lights very well as the pack accelerate towards Riches for the first time. It's Butler Henderson who gets the advantage ahead of the yellow car. No, it's not. It's sneaking through. Lee Patterson in the red machine snatches second through Riches as they head off in the direction of the Spooky Tree and the Montreal hairpin. Everybody cleanly through, at least the first turn. It's at Montreal where they all really start to bunch up. It's Lawrence Davey just being pushed out wide in the lower reaches of the top 10 as the rest of the field sprint on towards Palmer, and there you can see the cement dust being kicked up from an earlier race. That's going to impede the visibility of some of those behind as David Grady looks to carve his way through the field. We're in car with Ben Spalog, who is somewhere just outside the top 10, looking to challenge on the brakes into Agostini, looks to challenge the outside. The road is very full ahead of him. In fact, he's going to lose a couple of places. There's David Grady going past our camera car, and Grady needs all the places that he can gain. Meanwhile, that's Rob Smith, who is also trying to work his way up through the order. amongst the field head out of Williams and on to the Bentley Straight. Jack Mitchell, the grey car, just tucked up behind Smith as they head down the Bentley Straight and in towards sequence formerly known as the S's, now known as Brundle and Nelson. And here is the battle at the front of the field. Butler Henderson coming under real pressure from Lee Patterson. Then it's Luke Cordell in third, Smith in fourth, and then Jack Mitchell in fifth. Then a slight gap in the traffic back to Lawrence Davey in sixth position. What about the JCW cars? Still busy swabbling these early stages. Spence Baylog looks to recover from his challenging first lap. And now a challenge for the Lee Patterson, elbows aside. Charlie Butler Henderson, great move there from Lee Patterson, but it also brings Luke Cordell into the mix. We ride in car with Luke now along the Senna straight. Oh, and a little bit of contact possibly with Butler Henderson. Both drivers not averse getting their elbows out as they home in over the slight crown in the road and turn into Riches 3 wide as Butler Henderson just about holds on to second place, but that has brought Rob Smith and Jack Mitchell right into the mix. It's also allowing others to challenge us. Now Cordell looks to the inside, Butler Henderson into Montreal. He pushes Butler Henderson out very wide. Cordell snatches second. Rob Smith goes through as well as there is the fight at the front of the JCW class. Steve Ruxton Cocker making excellent progress. Also, Kevin O'Connor trying to climb up through the order as well. Meanwhile, Lawrence Davey has got his work cut out. He's got a queue of cars forming up behind him, including Butler Henderson, who lost out as a result of that moment at Montreal. And for Butler Henderson, he needs to finish ahead of David Grady, but more importantly of all, he needs to finish, and he doesn't want to get caught up in other people's accidents. But there you could see David Grady at the back of that train. So at the front of the field, Patterson from Cordell and Smith. Then it's Davey, and then Butler Henderson, and about 6 cars, but only 10 metres behind him is his principal championship rival, David Grady. So this is starting to get a little bit nerve-wracking for Charlie Butler Henderson. We've got some very quick drivers in amongst the mix. There is the white car of Ryan Road, who has been so spectacular throughout 2015. Into Murray's, Butler Henderson just trails the break in as he looks to get onto terms with Lawrence Davey to maybe challenge him in the tow as Luke Reed gains place. That is Harry Volkard who gets demoted. Race leader Lee Patterson turns into Riches, that leading trio. Then the gap to Davey, Butler Henderson and the rest of them. Where is David Grady? There is David Grady. He's just clear of Luke Reed. Then we've got Harry Volkard, who has got Sam Osborne in the green and black car just behind, around the hairpin at Montreal. This time, no particular fanning out of positions. Or they run on towards the left-hander at Palmer, part of the Snetterton 300 complex, added 4 seasons or so ago now. And certainly Montreal always good overtaking opportunity, and that's what Osborne is looking to do as he tries to line up the move at the front of the field. The leading quartet or so reasonably stable. It's the queue of cars squabbling behind. It's now Jeff Smith who is taking his turn to try and challenge. There's Patterson with Cordell just behind, then Smith, Davey, Butler Henderson, and Smith right underneath his rear spoiler, applying all sorts of pressure. This car along is Ryan Road. As they turn through the bomb hole, use the camera of the right hander and then into the foggy haze. The mist has lifted. It was very, very bad first thing for working around Coram Curve and into Murray's on the end of another lap. And the challenge, as ever in the Power Max Mini Challenge, is that because the cars are near enough identical to each other, making progress can be very tricky. Meanwhile, here's the scrap between Neil Newstead and Hamish Brandon. That's for second place in the JCW class. Steve Ruxton Cocker has got through and disappeared. And now Luke Cordell applying the pressure to Lee Patterson. This is the fight for lead the race. And coming out of Riches, Cordell had a superb run on Patterson. Can he play it into a move to the inside of Montreal? Yes, he can. Lovely pass from Luke Cordell. He claims the lead. Patterson looks to fight back. Wing mirror to wing mirror as they turn into Palmer. But it is Luke Cordell who's got the track position, and therefore Cordell is able to hold that inside line, takes the place, and eases clear away once more of Lee Patterson. into the final lap of the race, and a problem possibly for Rob Smith. He's going very, very slowly, being swamped by those behind. Ryan Road, oh, trying to get past, makes contact with Smith. Oh, and they clatter into the Armco barrier. And that, sadly, is that for both Road and Smith. It was an ambitious last lap move, and sadly, both cars coming to a halt just a couple of miles from home. Meanwhile, Hamish Brandon doing all he can to try and find a way past Neil Newstead for second place in the JCW class, as they are about to head into the last lap. Of course, they've got the yellow flag now at Riches for the incident involving Smith and Road. Into Riches now. And Brandon not quite close enough to challenge Neil Newstead. Newstead just moves across to cover the inside line though, into Montreal. Meanwhile, here is our race leader Luke Caudle, who turns through Murray's for the final time. This has been a beautifully judged performance from Caudle, and Lee Patterson in the latter stage of the race hasn't had an answer to him. So it's the checker flag and victory at Snetterton for Luke Caudle. Second place to Lee Patterson, and Lawrence Davey completing the podium with Charlie Butler-Henderson a very strong fourth, and David Grady just across the line in ninth place, which means that Butler-Henderson extends his points lead going into the final race as victory for Steve Ruxton-Cocker in the JCWs. So Luke Caudle wins it from Lee Patterson, Lawrence Davey, Charlie Butler-Henderson. Great drive from Jeff Smith to fifth, just clear of William Phillips. In the JCWs, victory for Steve Ruxton-Cocker ahead of Neil Newstead and Hamish Brandon, with Scott Adam in fourth. So a number of very happy drivers about to be applauded onto the podium. Steve Ruxton-Cocker at JCW victor, and a delighted Luke Caudle once more on the top step of the Power Max Mini Challenge.
So good to be back out at Snetterton. It is definitely one of our favourite tracks. We're getting there with the car now. Second yesterday and in the bag today, so yeah, great feeling.
Davey was on a bit of a charge, so I just let Luke go. Once he'd gone past, I kept saying to him, just go. So I was happy with second. I wasn't quick enough, to be honest, but yeah, I'll take that.
Need to close the gap on Lee a bit, but he finished in front of me, so got a bit to do in the last race. But yeah, to start fifth, I had a bad start and got back up to third, so yeah, I'm really happy with that.
Because I know you said you were going to go out and have a bit of fun, did you?
Yeah, I had a great race actually. I had a great race with Hamish. He was all over me, and I was adamant I wasn't going to let him pass, and I done my own thing really. And Steve just went off and done his own race. And,
so
he had the pace on the car. He got fastest lap, so I didn't let him win.
So there you go. You won it in your own right. You're pleased with that?
Exactly right. I'm very pleased. Yeah, I'm a better driver, so it goes without saying. So yeah, no, I'm very, very pleased. First win of the season. I'm really, really chuffed. Yeah.
So, after a poor race for our two top drivers in the Gen 3 F56s, it means that there are just mere points separating them. That also means that the championship title is all down to the last race. That's coming up later on. Join us again after the break for the Coopers.